I'm scared of technology. Maybe I'm scared of AI. Maybe I don't even know how to use Zoom. But how do I get to a place where I'm pretty proficient in it? And I'm not feeling like it will take my job. I'm not feeling uncomfortable.
AI isn't the future, it's now. And whether you're in HR, sales, operations, or leadership, the choices you make today will determine whether you thrive or get left behind.
Today on Voice or Victim, we are sitting down with a woman who not only has mastered the science of change, but she knows how to guide people through it with clarity, compassion, and confidence. Dana Peebles is the president and principal consultant at Baystone Transformation Group, where she partners with leaders to turn uncertainty into opportunity. With over 20 years of experience in change management, training strategy, and program development, Dana has helped leaders in both the corporate and government sectors navigate complex transformations that actually stick. So Dana, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That is wonderful. It's so good to be here with both of you all today.
Well, we are super pumped. And I know you've got a long history with my lovely co-host here, Greg Boone. But for myself, for all the listeners who don't know you, right, you've spent over 2 decades guiding leaders through change. And so I would love to know, what drew you into this space in the first place?
Great question. I started out, I would say not even my career, even before that. I've had an interest in working in the community. When I was in high school and grad school and college, I really was interested in community-based work. I thought that meant medicine and medical school. The pivot was really when I got into public health. And it was a question of how can I make an impact in the community? And so where that started was how do I take that and move that forward? It ended up being 10 years in public health and working at community-based organizations, working in healthcare systems all over the Southeast, working in at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, at some nonprofits, and really enjoying that work in terms of training and program development and getting in and talking to people. And I'm realizing that whether it's with youth, teenagers looking at intimate partner violence or teen pregnancy prevention, or if it's emergency response all over the country, it's behavior change. At that time, it was really just about training, but then it became about how do we do more than training? It could be that you're inviting me to just do a training on community customer service, but there's a lot more to create transformation at an organization. So I then went to grad school and focused on behavior change as a whole and took that opportunity to say, what does this look like for entire organizations? What does this mean for large-scale transformation, technology, culture change, any other process implementation? And it really stemmed from how do we start this with a one-to-one impact, but then really create a foundational, sustainable impact for large organizations who, like a Duke Health, impacted communities and patients and beyond.
Yes, I'm so glad we're talking about this because obviously with this huge influx of AI just taking over really everywhere, change is here, right? We are living in it. And I think change management has become that bit of a buzzword. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions around what it really means. So what are some of those misconceptions that you've heard? And how can we kind of go up against those?
Yeah, so you are right. I think when people think about change in management, you can just call that word a thing, and we think that communication or sending out emails is just the change management. And that's really not what it is. One of the ways that I talk about this, and because my background is in training and I've worked with people at all educational levels and people who are interested in complex things or really easy things, I talk about change management in terms of we're moving from here to there. So how do we get from where we are right now? You mentioned technology, AI. Maybe I don't know anything about it. Maybe I'm scared of technology. Maybe I'm scared of AI. Maybe I don't even know how to use Zoom. But how do I get to a place where I'm pretty proficient in it and I'm not feeling like it will take my job? I'm not feeling uncomfortable. So in between kind of a here we are to where we want to go, how do we educate people people on that? How do we get people excited about that? How do we upskill people on that? So that's what I look at in terms of change management. I think another misconception about change is that it's difficult and nobody likes change. One of the things that I think that we talk about just in life is that people have all types of change, whether it's having a new kid. Both of you all have mentioned that you have children. And so there was a time where you didn't have kids. And even though the change is a really good thing, you still have to prepare for that. How do I create a space for that? How do I change my life to have this new human in my life and really create the life that we want together so that I am an effective parent? There's also change when you start a gym membership or you're taking a new direction to work. And so we are a part of change every single day. And so people may not like that word. And that's absolutely normal. But if you look at it like this is just kind of a normal thing. I have a new way to go to work today. I've got to figure out what is the best process to get to work. What time do I have to get up? How do I change my schedule? And what does that look like to get from here to there?
That sounds like an amazing prompt that you just laid out right there.
In what way?
Like in the sense that if you were using AI, it's like, I have to go a new route today. Like what you just laid out, what I always try to get across to folks is in the age of AI, it's just a conversation, right? And I just want to level set and make sure our viewers understand what we're talking about. When we're talking about AI, particularly, mostly we're talking about Gen AI, things that are really impacting the masses. So I just want to put that in there. And I agree 100% as it relates to people don't like change, right? Even if it's for the better, right? The idea I got to do something different. But I've been doing this, but you said you haven't liked it for 5 years. Yeah, but I know how to do it, even if I don't like it. Right. And it's that uncertainty piece. So I just want to interject just a little bit there, just the sense of that from to that you talk about is very important to understand where are you going, where are you coming from, but not to lose sight of kind of the journey. So.
Yeah, and I like that you're saying that too, because sometimes when we think about change, we try to take people to really big changes, like a really big chasm, when in fact, let's say a big chasm would be now use this as a business process at your job. One of the things that you've mentioned to me, Greg, that I think is really good is how do I do this in my everyday life, right? The same thing probably happened with emails when people started using the internet. How do we kind of take these baby steps and kind of move and shake? So I just went through my own transition and change in the last couple of months where I totally reset my life, meaning created my own strategy. I look at it kind of like a mind map. But if I took time to pause and reset, how have I been living for the past couple of years and how have I been showing up in life and work and how might I need that to change and taking the pause for that? One of the things that I wanted to include was yoga and eating well. I am terrible at eating well. So what I did was, how do I use AI to help with that? Because one of the things that we talk about with change management is barriers and facilitators to change. So really slowly what that means and why this also matters in the community when you're thinking about kids and smoking cessation and eating well, is that in life you have things that prevent you from adopting a change, barriers. For me and eating well, I couldn't think of any ideas of what to eat. I didn't know what to buy from the grocery store. I have grocery stores near me, and that's a blessing. Maybe I just didn't have time because I'd rather eat out and drink with my friends. But then you have facilitators to change, which are, I got AI that can help me figure this all out. I don't have to sift through all of the recipes. I don't have to do any of that. I can literally make a prompt for this AI tool and it will tell me, and I said this is exactly what I said. How do I eat healthy? It's, I want to think about it for 5 days. I want more fruits and vegetables. I don't eat beans or nuts. Don't put beans and nuts in there. Limit red meat. And I might have said something else. I don't really know. And I put that in, and it gave me all of these recipe ideas. Then I said, okay, well, it's just for 2 people. And then it told me, I said, okay, well, tell me what I need to buy from the grocery store. Then I have another list. I can tell you how many times I've gone back to this list. That's what I use to go shopping every single week now. And I eat so much more healthy.
I'm telling you, there's so many wins everywhere. And I think it was a couple weeks ago, I was talking on the show about how I was talking about AI with all of my daughter's cheer moms. Most of these women have never touched AI. They've never used AI. And I had the biggest win the other day because one of the other moms came up to me, and she is someone that designs and then builds accent walls. Okay. So I said, hey, I don't know why I was thinking about this. And I texted her. I said, but I want you to try this prompt next time you get a job and see what kind of designs it comes up with. And I was just thinking like, hey, they're going to give you the exact measurements you need. Like, you're not going to have to do all that. Well, then she started playing with that, practiced it more, and had a client send her a picture of the wall, which she then plugged into AI, and AI gave her 5 different already done designs of the accent wall that she could then share with her client, who visually was like, wow, I never thought I would have liked that one, but I love the way it looks in this space. And it has now completely changed how she does business without adding 1 cent to the bottom line.
I love that.
So it's like incredible. And like for me, like that job, like I was having a hard time thinking, how would AI be helpful for her, right? She's someone who has to work with her hands. And then I went back to that conversation we had with Stacey Olinger, who really talked about what are the things that are a part of your job that don't bring you joy.
Right.
Right. And for her, it's going back to her clients 10, 12 times with different drawn ideas that they don't like because they can't visualize it on the wall. She has completely cut that down to 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that I wrote down the joy word also, right, from our last podcast, what people don't really understand, because a lot of the knock on AI is that it removes the humanity, right? Part of the humanity is to bring joy back into your life, right? And so whether it's in healthcare, or I know I've seen in folks working on Wall Street, right? And they're like, hey, I actually get to be able to make it home for dinner now, right? And people don't think about these things. So all of this grind, right? We talk about all the time, like these mundane tasks and all this administrative work. If you can use these tools to quickly kind of get rid of all of that part of life, so then you can focus on the great things that you want to focus on. I think the other thing when you talk about barriers, just one sec, I had one of our guests that we're going to have in the future here. She reached out to me yesterday. She said, hey, I listened to your the first episode. Could you stop talking about recipes?
Oh, no. This is a real thing, though. Like, maybe not recipes. But was it one episode? I feel like this is a good thing for people who need to know things.
What I described was that, well, we have to do a better job. And I'm trying to switch up my analogies, so I'm not going to use my analogies. But we have to so let's unpack a few things. Erica laid out the word prompt. When we say prompt, what we mean is, imagine you have your phone in front of you and you're having a conversation with your phone, no different than you would talk to Alexa or Siri and others. This is just another AI agent, if you will. And I'm using the term agent more broadly. We can get into a whole episode of that at a later point. But the point of it is you're using natural language to describe what you need, right? So what I would say to Erica when you were mentioning your friend and her business, the thing I always tell folks, if you don't know where to start, just tell ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever you're using, this is my role, this is my goal. Fill in the blanks for me, right? And it'll give you some ideas of how you could use this. Like, how could this make Baystone Transformation Group more profitable? How can it target this type of client or this type of prospective candidate or whatever the thing is? Let it, help guide you and give you greater information. One of the hacks a lot of times is, and I do think people should understand prompting more, but you can write a prompt and it may be sloppy, who cares? And then at the end of it, you can say, help me write this better. Give me a cleaner prompt based on what I want to accomplish that I can then reuse over and over again. So,
all right, we don't normally do it this early in the podcast, but I think it is a critical point to do it. Dun, 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 and that is the game. Last chat. Okay.
Whoa, wait.
No,
you're derailing. We're going in already.
We're already going in because
I'm here for it. Like, let's do it.
Listen,
I'm here for it.
Dana,
the glasses are on. That means we are ready.
We're getting AI serious right now.
AI
like
serious.
She's trying to dive in. I got on my Meta shades and
That means we're ready.
So
I go last though.
Let me explain the game, right? The game
I'm
of Last Chat, because we're talking about what prompts can people actually use. What are we doing in our real everyday lives?
Sure.
We have this game where we have to pull out our phones and we have to be real open, real honest, and real vulnerable about what our last chat with your AI tool of choice is.
Oh,
so you got to go into your ChatGPT, your Claude, your Gemini, and tell us your last chat. You can give us a little context if we need it, but go ahead.
Well, what's interesting is that I have randomly 2 different chats. I'm not sure why No, I have one on my laptop that has all sorts of stuff because I talk to, and I've named him. His name is Malik. Malik and I talk about every day. And
Does Cheryl know Malik?
I don't know that Cheryl knows Malik, but Cheryl is impressed that there is a Malik because we always
She has her own
woman
custom.
You've
GPT.
got to, because you have to build relationship, and everyone deserves a name, right? And so maybe that's creepy for some people because we get into iRobot and all the things, but I love a name. I love to call people by name. I think that's important for
I feel like you guys are
relationship.
going to judge me right now, but mine is just Greg, GR, So I named it after myself.
But that's really clever.
But I think it also makes me a narcissist or something.
I'm not.
Yeah,
We're not
that.
here to judge.
Okay.
We listen and we don't judge.
I mean, I listen and I judge, but speak for yourself, lady. Tell me about your last chat.
So let me see. I will tell you, I'm not even sure it's on here because this one that doesn't talk to my laptop one, I don't know if they talk. What's funny about this and we were talking about when we joined is that I am not the techie person, and it is quite rich that I'm on here with you all. So not only am I searching really hard to find my little chat app, it may not have anything on it. Yeah, no, there's nothing on him. So there's nothing.
Well, you have to click on
Yeah, you have to click on that
see?
left
On the menu.
side and then click
I see
your
it
last
now.
chat. So how about this? While you're searching, I'll
Yeah,
share mine,
would love
okay?
it.
Oh, boy.
So I got to give you a little context, though, because,
If it's about Florida, I don't want to hear it.
It's not about Florida, but we all know I'm the AI curious one here, right? I like to dip my toe in. I'm not quite as serious. I don't have no meta shades, right? But I was listening to a podcast that was talking all about the custom GPTs. And you have your custom GPT, Malik. I have Cheryl. But as I was doing some more research on that, they were really talking about the importance of having multiple GPTs and that you shouldn't expect one person to do it all. Just like you wouldn't hire one Malik to run your every department, you would have multiple. So I started asking ChatGPT, like, hey, this is me, this is my business, these are my goals. Which custom GPTs should I consider creating? And then Chat gave me a whole slew of them. And then also, because Chat is Chat, continued to go further to say, hey, like I can help you craft these descriptions and then I can give you step-by-step instructions on how to create this GPT. Now, all that being said, I have actually taken a true course that took me step by step. That was more in depth, provided more information. And so I had already done it before. And the steps that ChatGPT provided were clear because I'd already taken a course on it. I think had I not, I would have needed a little bit more information, right? And I share this because AI is not perfect. We have to look for those, holes and hallucinations and biases and stuff. But she helped me create an entire new GPT that I will use only for content for newsletters. And then I also am working on, and we'll finish up after we record here, on my next one, which will be a content calendar that understands the different content pillars that I talk about. And she will create me a monthly content calendar for LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, podcasts, all the things. And so I'm starting to work through that and create these multiple GPTs.
So I love that because we think about that and know that in human life, you can't do, for example, change management. I was talking to someone last night about how we had a group of 3 people working with 29,000 to create this culture change at Duke Health. You can't do everything with 3 people. So we then extended out to people who are really interested, who really had a passion for doing this work and working with their team members. They were considered kind of like change agents and other people like that. But the point is, we can't do any of our work without, especially in change management, without a team, because you've got people doing different things. And you're right. I have only asked Malik to do certain things, but would love to think about a Cheryl for myself to be on my team, to think about what does this look like in terms of communications, and can I have that person do all of my communication strategies?
Yes.
Important. That's really good.
And so I haven't tested it fully, right? I'm just creating them today, but it will be very interesting to see because I've been using Chat for so long and I've had it trained for so long. She knows me very well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of play together and like, what do I get out?
Yeah, I think it's important. I hear a lot of folks that use it in that way where they'll create multiple assistants to do multiple things, right? Like you can create a workflow. You can even use their scheduling or task that you can create. So if you want to get like a morning update on something, right, you can customize it and basically schedule it to do that. So every morning it'll say, hey, this is what we're doing on the podcast today. Just a reminder, these are some of the things that you want to focus on. I did a little bit of research for you, Greg, blah, 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 right? You can create these custom assistants, do a lot of different things. You may have one that is focused solely on recipes, right? And reminding you on, what you want to do. Or you may have one on your, I have a friend that she's a personal trainer and she'll use it for different things, from that perspective. There are things like image generation. People think about it mostly in like a text-based way, but you could literally create a workout plan, infographic that's, cater to your brand, what you want to do. There's just a lot of different things. It's multimodal. So you can do images, you can do video, you can make songs, you can also consume those things, right, as context for whatever it is you want to do. Can I read mine now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask you what color is that jacket, but I didn't think that was going to be a good use of our time. So this one was, what roles can HR professionals pivot into in today's AI world? It's a very simple one. I went back a couple of times, but so what happened was I was having a conversation on LinkedIn with a friend, and he was saying like, hey man, any opportunities and kind of talent and HR and this and that. And I was like, hey man, you might want to like do a little bit more on the AI side, especially as people are trying to be upskilled and this and that. And his response, like before that, was like, man, this is rougher than COVID years, right? And trying to, find the next thing.
Right.
And so what I was trying to help him better understand is like, look, use your talent knowledge, your HR knowledge to help folks, right? Because the whole point of our podcast is, AI voice of victim. We're trying to move people from AI anxious to AI curious at a minimum, right? Which requires some upskilling, some education, AI literacy, things of that nature. So it did a pretty good job. It came back and it talked about people analytics specialists, HR technology implementation advisor, AI ethics and compliance officer, digital learning and development strategist, trigger word, change management consultant.
All right, we got to pause there. Okay, everybody heard that. Change management.
Consultant.
Greg doesn't like that word. How do you feel about that, Miss Change
Which
Management?
part don't you like? The consultant?
I think it's all three of those words.
Together, or just
Even
don't-
separately.
Really?
I don't really think that people want to be changed. They don't want management to dictate anything. And sometimes when people hear the word consultant, they have their own perspectives.
Look, he just got an attitude about everything, but I'd love to hear
He
your
did.
perspective.
Wait a minute. I can't have an opinion.
You have one.
Okay.
You have a great opinion. So this is
All right,
what,
I'm taking the shades off now.
okay, well, so before we talk about that, I will answer what mine is. Okay.
Yes, do tell us your last chat.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so let me see where the conversation started. Don't judge me. It says we're in a judge-free zone.
Judge-free zone.
Again, going back to how am I changing my life to be healthier? All of these, by the way, have been on my bucket list and New Year's resolutions list for years. Eating better, working out, being, having better and meaningful relationships. Okay, so now I'm able to, do more. But I can't just do them by myself, trying to think of what this looks like. So my question is, I would like a couch to 5K running plan. I don't run often and I am scared of starting out. How can I start running 5K races from having a sedentary lifestyle? So this is a public health thing too. And then, so this is what Malik says, totally get it. Starting something new like running can feel intimidating, especially from a sedentary lifestyle. And then he goes through and talks about general tips, run 3 times a week, warm up and cool down, pace. And then he says a week by week plan. So this is what you need to do, which I think is really, really good. And I am going to, but then his question at the end says, would you like a printable or mobile friendly version of this plan? Kind of like what you mentioned, Greg. And I said, yes. And so we put it together and it's a nice little table right here. I am set and ready to go. So again, thinking about, I'm going to answer your question, thinking about change management on a personal level. And even if we don't even use those words, if we think about how you want to try or do something different, everybody has some reason why they don't want to. They either don't want to because I have for my entire life just walked around. Like, I'm not a runner. I don't like to, get sweaty. I don't like to be outside. Whatever those reasons are, people have valid reasons for those things. Same can be the case for anything that you think about from a health perspective. But then the cases, the things that make people change, and why my public health background and my organization development background, change management kind of fit, because people make decisions based on a lot of different things. So you pull different levers to kind of help people move along this kind of change continuum. One of those is through education, which is what you all are doing here. And so you think about that in ways that people consume information. If I put everything in a white paper, scientific white paper, that might resonate with those scientists at NIH, but it's not going to resonate with somebody who's like, I love a podcast, put this in a podcast and I'm interested. And so people who are thinking about AI, thinking about anything, if they can learn more about it, especially in the way that you all are talking about it, they can say, well, let me just pull up ChatGPT. I can make an app. I can ask these questions. This is kind of easy for me. So that is helping them kind of move along this continuum. The other thing that Erica said that I really like is...
You don't have to say that.
Well, I said something that you like too. And so
Sorry.
one thing that Erica said that I really like is I told my friend she could use this for her job in this way. Because you are her friend and she trusts you, she's going to try it. If this was someone that she didn't know, maybe she read about it or in a magazine or it was on a newscast or something, she would be like, I'm not doing that. But the fact that there is a trusted person educating you on something, or a trusted person saying, here, this matches you and what you need, then you should try it. So it's not only getting the influencer there, not only the education, but it's a tailored way of kind of trying to get people to adopt a new tool or a new process. And so being able to think through those, I mean, it happens every day. The reason why I'm actually on chat is not because I read about it or because it's some like work thing. It was because I was at a cookout with my cousins and one of them used it. And I was like, oh, well, let me just try that. That was about 6 months ago. But it's that kind of, who do I trust? Who are my gatekeepers in my community? I could wax poetic about what that looks like in community-based organizations and community-based programming. But it's really, who do I trust? Where am I getting my information from? And what are those small steps that I can take to improve my life?
So I have a couple comments real quick, right? So that's great. I love that you kind of walk from like, some people will learn from the white paper, right? Some people, the podcast. One of the hacks, and I try to tell people this all the time because I started to learn this about myself, that I learned easier or better or faster listening to podcasts and things like that, right? But you can use Google's Notebook LM. You could feed it that same white paper and you can ask it to convert it to a podcast episode. And it'll be a 2-person podcast that you can then interact with. And you're like, oh, what was that point again you just talked about, right? And then you can tell and ask it where it cited that information from the white paper, right? So Notebook LM is an amazing product that people don't talk about enough, but it's combining different forms of audio, video, text, and then converting it into things like study guides or, like I said, podcasts or briefing documents. But so you take all this in, it's not just one document. So I may feed it 15 white papers, 10 YouTube videos. Now create a podcast of this coalesced information, right? And then again, you can actually have conversations with it. That's thing one. Thing two is the internal.
Before you move on from that, what's the price point on that?
I don't know.
Oh.
But
see, because I'm just interested in
most of them are all like $20 a month.
But that cost is often a barrier to entry, which is why I like to figure that out. So we'll figure that out and put it in the show notes or something.
Yeah.
But
And that's the other thing we talk about a lot. Is just when we try to demystify and not make it so abstract, the things that I see people think, right, in their minds is, one, I don't know what it is, and they think it's a literal robot sitting at their desk typing on a computer when we talk about AI. But so they think it's highly technical, and what we keep describing here is you're having a natural language conversation. You'll hear or see the phrase NLP, or the letters NLP means natural language processing. So you're just talking to it, right? Either you're texting or you're talking, you click on a little microphone. The other piece is the cost barrier, to Erica's point. It's not significant. In some instances, there are free versions of things and there are things that are $20. So if you can afford to have, 10 streaming services, or watching, cat videos or whatever else the thing is that you're focused on, right? How about you just drop one of those, pick up this thing that's going to be basically democratize intelligence, a PhD in your pocket, right? And you can be the smartest person in the room or the smartest person in the situation for whatever you need, right? The other thing I just wanted to quickly point to, you talked about, you started to see greater adoption because of folks, you were mentioning at a cookout or barbecue or whatever, right? Other people like that sphere of influence, the people that are near you, right, that are impacting your life, you're more likely to, listen to them. I believe in my career in doing digital transformation and adoption, I'm trying my best not to use the word change management, right? But you have to find these internal champions, right, within those groups. And if you don't find the people that can convince the other people, it doesn't matter the CEO said this, great. Then it just falls apart as it goes down the chain, right? And so finding those people at the cookout, the people around the water cooler, the people that can influence others, I think it's critical.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Erica, before I start, there was something that you wanted to say in between the first thing that...
I'm just super intrigued, right, with your background in change management and also your background with yoga. And I'm thinking more along the lines, less about the tech, but more about the psychology behind change management, right? Which is a whole other podcast episode that we could go down. But
I like this.
Yes, the way my brain is thinking and talking to you and your expertise is like, what are the main things that leaders should be focused on with AI adoption as it relates to change management, but specifically as it relates to the behaviors and maybe the emotional intelligence of their people?
Great question. And what I'm going to do is wrap in what you just said, Greg, to your question. So from a change perspective, and this could be, I'm going to give an example of a large scale, just agnostic implementation transformation, so that you can see how this works. And you could use it anywhere. But for the purposes of, let's say, a digital transformation, change happens at several different layers. One of my favorite models is a socio-ecological model that people use, that I learned about at CDC, that people use with smoking cessation. They use with maybe the built environment, so how people show up in their community. Do they have walking spaces? Are there places to eat? Things like that. Healthy places to eat. So anyhow, the concept is that there are these concentric circles that create transformation. So if you start with a one-to-one level of who am I as a human and how am I changing my mindset? What am I reading? What am I learning about? Why what you said, Greg, about the notebook LM is because if you can take information that maybe doesn't resonate with you because it's too dense, too complex, and then use AI tools to turn it into something that does resonate with you. So audio, video, and text, super important. Also, my background is in training. If I am teaching you from an auditory perspective and you're a visual learner, it's not going to land. You're not going to remember. It's useless. And so what I love about what you're saying about this particular tool from an individual perspective is that we can think through how we're personally consuming information and not have to just take it the way that it is already available to us. We can filter it and transform it into something that we need in a way that really helps us to adopt a skill, be a better person, or however we are personally changing. And then you have this next kind of circle of how do you have kind of interpersonal relationships. So the way I look at this is from a team perspective. So you're asking about leaders. That one-on-one person can be a leader. If I am, let's say we are looking to create a culture that is fertile for adopting AI in this organization, how we need to start that is what are the mindset changes that need to happen for that individual leader? So does that person need coaching? Do we need to give them podcasts or different types of information to, again, increase those facilitators to change and decrease those barriers? resistance. But now we're going to this team and saying, as a leader, how do you show up? What talking points do we need to give you? What kind of activities and events do you need to do with your team to be able to say, you're the champion of this, you're the influencer of this? And how do I create a space for my team to feel comfortable asking these questions, to kind of admit and be vulnerable that they don't know what they're doing, that they are really struggling with this. They think that it's going to take their jobs, especially in this type of economy right now. But as a leader, you're creating this safe container, but there are ways that that needs to happen. So you're building that. And then also you're looking at, again, these notebook LM ways of doing that, because you have to consider, if I've got 10 people on my team, everybody's not going to learn the same way. Even what I say to them is not going to be the same. I can stand up in front of people and talk for 10 minutes, but they may just not be here and may be thinking about something else. But if I sent them an email, I got them. So that is what happens. Then the next piece is from an organization, well, let's say a department level. So you have several departments, maybe 20 people in this team, 30 people in this team, and it makes up your HR department. And so what are the things that we're telling them, and how do we then attach what we're doing to a strategy? How do we align it with the goals that we've been talking about all year? So it's not just this thing out here, but we're ribboning it through and like creating a sustainable change that's happening. And then there's the organizational change, and then for community purposes, policy and environment and things like that. But the point is that you have individual internal champions at every point to be able to talk about that, because you're absolutely right. The CEO could really be into it and say, like, this is a great thing. This is something that we should do. Even your leader might say that. But until my team member, who I've been friends with for the past 5 years, that I talk to about life and home and all that kind of stuff, until they say, like, Dana, you should consider that, I might be more interested at that point, because I can ask you questions that I can't ask my leader because I'd be afraid. But having those internally focused champions, being able to talk about that, all creates that behavior change. And it allows leaders to not only lead that through support, they have their own education, because research has found that people will look to their most local leader first instead of their, CEO, because they trust that person, especially if you think of organizations who are located all over the world or even all over the country. If I live in Arizona, I'm talking to my leader who's in Arizona. I don't care that my CEO is in New York. I'm going to ask my leader that. So not only is it good for your leader to be able to have the knowledge and resources and skills to be able to share that, but they feel like now they're part of this conversation too. They're champions, they're aligned to the strategy, and everything is working to create that change.
I just read in a book not too long ago that was specifically talking about AI adoption, and it said, people get really excited about it, and then it's kind of like a little bit dulled out because you don't really know how to use it. Most people, right, who aren't super techie. But then once you can get them to see that aha moment, right? And for example, for my friend who does the accent walls, like, getting those pictures back in real time, that was her aha moment. Like, she is all the way in on it now because she saw how it could change her life. And so to take everything you just said, it's like, we've got to start at that individual level so that everyone has an aha moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I think John Kotter calls it is these are quick wins. So part of a whole nother change management framework. But when you give people, that's that, we're doing little things, like people love a reward. That's why Starbucks has, if you go and get, X amount of cups of coffee, we'll give you a star, and then we'll give you this. And so people love that. If you set your goal out too far, or if it's too large, people will say, oh, I can't do that. Like, I literally cannot run a 5K tomorrow. But if you tell me, okay, Dana, chat tells me that I need to be able to do, 8 minutes in one, in a mile, walk and run and all the things. Clearly, I have not adopted this yet. Don't judge me. But
I was going to say, that's actually really good time.
No, like 8 minutes to walk, and then whatever is the thing.
You need your intervals laid out for you.
And I can do that. If I can do that in one day, then that helps me feel like, okay, I'm a champion. Like, I'm moving, but I'm not trying to run a 5K because that's in 3 months. But if I can get this done, if I can, celebrate those wins. If you've got a leader who can celebrate that, and I'm not talking about some big party, I'm not talking about even an award, literally just text me and be like, you know what, Dana, you championed this new tool. Great job. People have said in businesses that I've worked in, they just would love a text message that is clear, specific to them, and thanks the person in real time. That's a text message. That is wonderful. If you don't know what to say, throw it in AI and think of something to say.
Well, you can also create an agent to actually do those things, right, and trigger the event. But to your point, it's all the gamification aspect of it is very critical. And that's been around for, and I've been talking to folks about gamification for, I don't know, 12, 13 years at this point, right? And just that's the psychology behind it, right? You always, to your point, you have to have a credible goal, right? And people say, we're going to have a $5 billion company. And if I stood in front of the company and told them that, it's like, all right, we're going to go from here to $5 billion. That's not a credible conversation.
No.
Their eyes are rolling. They're like, man, what are you talking about right now? Like, I have no clue how we get there. But if we say, by the end of this quarter, we're going to have 2 AI assistants for every employee here that's going to impact your life, and we're going to be able to decrease the administrative tasks by 20%. You're going to be able to get home on time, or try out all those great recipes that Dana and Erica gave you, or Cheryl, Malik, whoever's making the recipes, right? I'm not judging, but I'm kind of judging. But the point of it is, again, it's how do we use these tools to better our life? Like, I love the joy, right? Bringing back humanity, all of these things. And I say this all the time, my sincere hope is that people understand how you can do these things. I talk about how I use, AI to be more present with my children and do things with them. And so I think that that's very critical. But the reward system, right? I have team members that I talk about, it's like, hey, man, I was really excited that you used that Lovable, product to create this landing page, or that you were able to get this post out in 5 minutes. But the attaboys matter, right, quite a bit.
Can you talk more about what that looks like in the gamification? The reason why I'm asking is because I do believe that we're at a place in the workforce right now where people want to be rewarded, meaning in different ways. They want to be seen, valued, and heard. They want to be called by name. And I know also that leaders have a difficult time because they're busy and carrying so much, especially your mid-level managers who are not only seeking direction and guidance and sometimes pressure from the executives, but also need to be there for their team members. And so they're trying to work. How can they create an AI tool that allows for them to be reminded to do those things?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. One, I'll take you back a little bit. So gamification became very popular in the early days of mobile development, right? And people were trying to figure out, I remember talking to the CIO at Family Dollar years ago, Josh Jewett, and this is, I don't know, 2011, 2012, something. We were on a panel and we were talking about gamification. And he was saying one of the ways that they were using it was to help teach, he basically would say, how do you not, don't put the charcoal with the baby formula, right? When you're doing, if you're a bagger, right? And so they were using gamification to train people, right? Then you start to see things like different environmental issues, right? So a company I was involved with at a point, Jewel Bug, all about gamifying sustainable kind of things that you were doing in your daily life, right? And so what I've seen over the last 2 decades is that gamification always keeps coming back when there's some new technology that you want people to adopt, right? You want to be rewarded. The thing that I would do now in the age of AI is there's 2 things. One, I would ask it, what is the best kind of game or model given this goal, right? I want this type of group. I want HR professionals to be able to be more AI curious. Design me a game that's basic, that can be easily used, blah, blah, blah. Don't ask them more than 5 questions, whatever. You can set that. And it will come up and say, this is the type of game I would create. Then step 2, if you're a little bit more advanced in your team, is like, okay, now build it, right? And it can either just be a text-based game, or it could literally write the code for a very basic game for you to create and curate. And so the last point I would make too is you're spot on. In the age of AI, there's a lot of hyper-personalization at scale that you can create now. So you can create a one-to-one connection with every employee in your organization. and say, and you can train it up, and it can be specific to that individual. It can understand. You can load it up on, one of the things I do all the time is like for our podcast guests, tell me everything about this guest. What are their likes, dislikes based on publicly available information? Here's some additional context that they provided for me. Tell me your top 10 questions. What would the follow-up questions be? Blah, blah, blah. What do you think they would say back to me? Right? So you can start to know a lot more about an individual, but then you can automate a lot of things, not to remove the human element, right? You mean these things, right? But at the same time, we get caught up in the rat race and can't go thank someone. It may be 2 weeks later. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even thank you for that thing that you did. That was, you used that tool and it was so great, right? So that's what I would leave with you. First, use AI to help you figure out what you need to use AI to do.
I like that because the hyper-personalization that you're talking about is really key. I have heard many people say, and actually one of our culture commitments, not just for our leaders, but for the whole organization was, at Duke Health was recognize people in ways that resonate with them. So don't give someone an award in front of 200 people when they are like, I do not like being in front of people.
Now come up here to the front.
Exactly, because that's not really about that person. It goes to that personalization. So maybe if it's difficult to remember every other Wednesday, Winning Wednesdays, let's just send something out to different people, making it a point. But then that personalization gives you a plan for that. So I know that Julia prefers to be recognized in a handwritten note. I'm going to do that. I know that Stacy prefers to get an email and highlighted at our team meeting. I'm going to do that. So I'll remember, but AI helps with that. I like you saying that because that is key.
I love all of these different use cases that people can start to play with because that's what we're doing here. But as we wrap up the show, we always love to ask everyone, what is that one thing that they should do within the next 24 hours, right? So that they can move themselves along this continuum from anxious to curious to serious.
Yeah, so that would go back to the here to there thing, right? And what we've been talking about in terms of how do we start the first step? I'm not going to run a 5K tomorrow, but how do I start? So I think the question might be probably what I would do. I'm a little bit biased, but let's go to the site. Let's download it. Everybody has tons of apps. You can go to Dunkin' Donuts and they'll ask you to put an app on your phone. And so put the app on your phone. And as you are sitting there at lunch today or, at dinner and you're by yourself, or maybe if you're in line for something, just throw something in there. What is a goal that you have that you want to work on? And it can be a work goal. How do I show up as a better leader? What are some of the things that I can think about? And the thing that I like is that you can think about anything and your answer might be 2 things. Chat will give you 15 things. And then you can say, well, this is for this group of people. So let's kind of narrow it down, take it down a notch. But you have really good, meaty things that you can try. So maybe you want to be a better leader. Maybe you want to ask better questions because you are networking more now. You're doing new and cool things, but you're not one of those people who really is good at that type of thing. I'm not going to say nobody, but people really struggle with networking. What are some questions that I could ask someone at a networking event that I'm going to tonight? It's an IT event. I'm not in IT. I kind of just got asked to go. But what are some things that I need to ask so that I am building meaningful connections and relationships with people? That would be helpful too. Just throw anything in there and see what happens. And just keep at it. Try those little things and see how far it takes you.
Amazing. So what I hear is just give it more context and let it know what's up. Thank you so much. Your insights, they were incredible. I know this episode was just packed with a lot of different prompts that we can throw in there and test out. Some new technologies. I'm going to have to lean into Notebook LM. So Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been great. Thank you both.
Thanks, Dana.
Thanks for joining us on AI, Voice or Victim. If you want to stay competitive in the AI age, start now. Take one insight from today's episode and put it into practice in the next 24 hours. Make sure to follow us, share your thoughts, and subscribe for more actionable AI insights. See you next time.